Hello, my fellow coaches. What is up? Welcome back to another episode of Coach to Coach, where today we're going to be talking about the prescriptive method that doctors use to get and sign clients easily. Now, it's called the prescriptive method for a reason, and that is because just like a physician, I'm going to show you that it is super easy to be able to make a recommendation and then have someone go through with that recommendation, select the program options that you're telling them to choose, and then, of course, join your program. So when a coach pitches or asks a person to join their program, this should really be the easiest step in the process, because if you've done everything else right in the funnel process, the client, the value draw, creating the correct offer to attract them in, then really there's going to be no objections. No complaints, no uncertainty, just excitement from the person who's in front of you, who is all in and ready to join your process, okay? Now, that being said, it's still important for you to really master and perfect the way that you prescribe your program to people. Otherwise, people may not be inclined to take action on that call. Okay. Now, some people in the industry and some business mentors and people call it like the pitch or the sale. I can't stand that, because as a coach, we are not pitching them or selling them anything. We are here as coaches to make the best recommendation that we believe is going to help them in the best way to move forward on whatever journey they need your coaching support for. Okay. And with that said, I'm going to share with you a story about a recent but one of the worst sales process that I've ever experienced in my entire life. And I can safely say that. Over the past year, and there's a little bit of context to this, okay? Over the past year, my wife Lorna and I, we've been really fortunate to be successful in picking up a rental property, which is a duplex, and having it run pretty smoothly. We had to do a couple tenant changes, fix their damage and stuff, but it's been running really, really well, and it's been doing good in terms of investment-wise. And alongside picking up the rental just this last year, with the past 2 recent months, we recently hit also $1 million in revenue. And so we've been left with now this additional pile of kind of money that is sitting in the corporation, pretty much doing nothing for us. So we've been actively looking for the right person who aligns with our ideals to really help us manage this money and help it grow, because as coaches, you should be actively working to have your money work for you in other ways. Sure, you're going to always be coaching and making money through that, but multiple streams of revenue is how you build sustainability as a coach, so you can't just rely on your coaching. Okay. Now, me personally, I didn't want to buy another property right now, especially in Canada, because we have our sights set on picking up a property Airbnb in Costa Rica. But what me and Lorna's plan is to visit Costa Rica a few times within the next 2 years, our trip coming up in December as well, to see where specifically we want to buy there, so we can not only stay there for 4 to 5 months out of the year, but also max out the Airbnb potential, so that way it can, of course, pay for the cost and make us more money, right? Because again, we want our assets and our investments to be able to work for us. So we're sitting on this pile of cash right now, and we're like, for this money to grow, it has to be the right investment structure. And look, I'm not looking for anything 25%, 35%, excessively high, because that's going to have a lot of high risk. And I'm young. We don't need to take that chance. We can just let compound interest do the work for us. So Lorna and I, being ambitious people, we are at a point where we want to work with people who are just like us in any capacity. Okay. We want people to work with us who are just as ambitious and self-led as ourselves. And I share this because it's important. It's important information to explain what's going to happen during this sit down. Okay. So we take this sit down with this financial advisor. We sit down. I have a little discussion with them before we take the sit down. And they have me fill out a very, very extensive questionnaire, asking a lot of goals, asking a lot of detail of what we want. And so through the process, I'm like, okay, I'm getting really excited to take this meeting, which is what's going to happen when clients register or book a discovery call with you. You want them to get fired up about the process and look forward to, of course, having this conversation with you. And then the conversation comes, person comes to our home, we welcome them in, and we sit down and we start getting the same questions repeated back to us that was on the application. And one of the first things I think is like, okay, this is strange. I've already shared this, but whatever. Maybe they're looking for more information. Maybe they're looking to go deeper, but the questions are word for word. And as someone who took, close to half an hour to fill out this application, I was like, these are the exact questions. So here I am now thinking to myself, this person didn't take the time to read any of my answers. They didn't take the time to really dive into what I wanted. And I don't really know why they're asking the same questions. So there was a little bit of annoyance there, but I thought to myself, well, maybe they don't have a process like we do with our coaching company. So that's fine. I'll go along with it and I'll get super clear. And then there's a point in the conversation which is like, okay, how are we going to make this money grow, or how are we going to expand this? And the person starts sharing things that are completely out of alignment with what we want, saying that the market is risky, saying that we won't get a return, saying that we can't expect big investments, saying that, you're lucky if you're going to be able to get 5 or 6%. And then presenting all of these options that I had shared with on my application process that I wasn't really interested in or fond of. Mutual funds, traditional, savings accounts, and I won't go deep into it. But as they're sharing all of these opportunities, I start doing the math, and I'm like, so you're telling me that I can get more on my own. You're telling me that I can't really expect my money to work for me, that I'm going to have to work super hard to have this money grow, when I know that it can be done because I've seen friends and family members do it with the process with an advisor and do very, very well. And so not only do I feel frustrated because the application process felt like it was completely ignored and all of our responses were just kind of re-asked again, so I felt like I wasted my time. I then also feel like, wow, I'm actually feeling really shitty through this consultation process. And this is not a small chunk of change that we're talking about. It's not $5,000 or $10,000 or $20,000. We're talking about $100,000. And I share this with you guys to show you what is possible through coaching. That's not a small chunk of change to invest with somebody. And I think to myself, this person is saying all of these things that's completely not in alignment with what we're looking for. And there was not some type of intended negativity. There wasn't an intended level of kind of pushback, but we're going through this process, and Lorna and I are looking at each other, and we have this thing where we have it's like unspoken communication. And maybe other partners have this, I don't know. But I'm looking at her, she's looking at me, and I know she's out. I know she's out, and she knows I'm out. And we're basically just waiting out the guy to make the pitch. And finally, he just kind of, through this process, I'm trying to ask questions to help him out, help me understand where the excitement is going to be here. And then he just absolutely leads with the pitch of mutual funds and the exact thing that we were not looking for. And it's like pitching word for word. This is what I do. This is what's here. This is what I have to offer you. And I was like thinking to myself, this offer, it's not for me. This offer is not only something that I'm kind of confused about, but it's something that completely fundamentally is not in alignment with where I am. And so at this point, not only was the process very strange, but there was the disconnect. Okay. So going through the process, we had him leave eventually for the home. And then me and Lorna, we sat down, we said to ourselves, that person's not the person. It's not the person, not the one that we're going to go with. And I knew the decision right off the bat. I just didn't want to make this person feel bad. And so I was like, hey, you know what? Thanks. We're going to review the information. We're going to get back to you. And then I sent them an email the same day hey, look, it's not going to work. Okay. So the question becomes this: what did he do wrong? Truthfully, nothing. He wasn't a bad guy. It's not that I didn't like him. He was very personable. He just completely did not get to know us emotionally, and he did not know how to get us emotionally invested. So through the entire process, I was looking for the excitement. I was looking for the high level of energy. I was looking for someone to show me the possibility of what is possible or what the new direction would be. And at the end, there was a lack of emotional connection. It was just numbers. It was just a kind of spreadsheet conversation. And I was completely disconnected. Now, on top of that, at the end of the process, he just straight up pitched us. And the pitch, the way that it was presented to us, regardless of what we would have said for the goal, I knew off the bat that it was going to be the same pitch. It was very clunky. It was very mechanical. It was excessively wordy. I knew that it was something that was probably on some type of a slideshow or a presentation. And so after that pitch, it was vague and it wasn't inspiring, and it did not align with what our goals were. And it was apparent to us halfway in the conversation that this advisor was not it. Not the alignment, not the energy, no connection, and so they got no commitment from us. Here's why I share this. Where most coaches go wrong with the pitch is they get all the way up to the process of having someone attend the call and they're fired up, and then they don't ask the right questions when they're there. They're trying to repeat or double down on conversations that they have. No, those conversations are in the past. It does not matter. They're trying to, for some reason, coach during the call, which also doesn't make sense. I don't need to know all of the investment numbers or what specific funds do what. I actually don't give a shit about that. I want to know the possibility. I want to have the emotional connection. Now, another thing that coaches do is they tend to lose the sale when they get scared or they get passive at the end and they just go and they throw the pitch. And you know what? This comes down to verbiage, them saying stuff like, so what do you think? What do you say? Do you have any questions? So are you ready to join? And the problem with that is you leave people thinking that they should have questions. You leave people thinking that they should be thinking if they're ready, that they should be uncertain. And you do not need certainty in the aspect of having someone make a commitment, because the reality is they are on the call, they are speaking with you right then and there to actually make that commitment. So a lot of the verbiage that comes down to it is making sure that it's certain. So through this entire process, and we're still in conversation with looking for the right person, and I think I found the person kind of for us in terms of the investment piece, but through the conversations, if you do not make someone feel that they can go from good to great, that they can have an exceptional level of results. And this isn't bullshitting the results, but this is saying, listen, like, growth is possible. This is what is available to you. This is how far you can go. Yes, it'll take work, but here is what we can do for you. Here's what the possibilities and the potential looks like. Then why would someone be fired up to join? And then if your intention, and if you're the type of coach who's like, okay, I've got 5 options in front of me and I want people in this program, so I'm going to push this program. Well, that may not be what they need. That may not be what they want. And so if you're just there with the intention of pushing a program anyways, that's not actually listening to what the client needs. That's just you trying to make a sale. So now I want to go into the prescriptive method, okay? There's a couple of things that go into helping someone being able to basically say, hey, based on what you need, here's what I recommend, and have them say, okay, cool, let's start. Okay, so to start, the discovery call needs to have questions that go deep. Yeah, what are your goals? Great. You already got their goals. One of the first ways that I start the call is just curious, what made you want to hop on this call today? Here's why. It helps me understand as a coach why they are there. There's got to be something deeper than I want to lose 10 pounds. There's got to be something deeper than I'm having a couple of digestive issues. Because truthfully, if it was something just that small, they never would have reached out to you for coaching support. Working with a coach is a lot. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of commitment in time. It's a lot of commitment in energy. It requires a lot of trust. So if you're finally going to actually do the thing to like step in front of a coach, to step in front of a doctor, to go book the appointment, chances are there's a lot more to it than just the upfront goal. And so if we're like, hey, what are your goals? What are you looking to achieve? Yeah, that's great. But someone might be just like, okay, general weight loss. And you're like, cool, next. Because you're already thinking of the pitch instead of saying, no, I need to understand why you're here. So the big question, a deep question, what made you want to hop on this call today? Because they might say to themselves, well, I've been struggling with this for the past 2 years and it's getting to a point where it's starting to affect other aspects of my life. Okay, now we're talking. What other aspects of this life is it affecting you? 2 years? What's happened in the 2 years? What have you tried on your own? And that's the next question. What have you tried? What have you done? What have you attempted to make a change for? Why do we ask this as a coach? Why is it deep? The question is deep because I need to understand if someone is coachable. So if someone says, I haven't tried anything, I haven't done anything, that's a big red flag for me. I need to know why. Why haven't you done anything? Maybe they're going to say, you know what, I just realized I needed a coach right out the gate. Cool. Okay. I understand that they have a high coachable mindset. Or maybe someone says, you know what, truthfully, I haven't tried anything because I just don't know where to start. Okay, that's also someone who's coachable. But what if someone says, I haven't done anything because, I don't know, I just haven't been feeling motivated, or like, truthfully, I'm just a lazy person. Like, okay, that's a big flag. We need to unpack the laziness right now. Because at the end of the day, it's my job as a coach to help someone determine if they are the right fit for what specific program, and then also if they are in a coachable state. We can take anyone's money as a coach, but if they are not successful through the process, they're going to tell hundreds of other people that you were not the coach that did not provide the result, when in reality, you probably should have said no to them if they weren't right. Okay, so we need to ask these deep questions. The next deep question is, why do you feel you need support from a coach? After sharing what have you tried, why do you feel you need support from a coach? Like, why not keep doing it on your own? Why not look at some free resources? Why not do whatever? Why the coach? And this understands what they value in terms of coaching. Someone might say, well, I realize that I've tried on my own and I've continuously failed. And so at this point, I need this person to be in my corner. Cool. So they value support. They value the accountability. Amazing. Or they might say to themselves, you know what? I don't even know where to start in terms of making changes or adjustments. So at this point, I need help in being able to know what specific actions I need to do because the things I'm doing is wrong. Cool. Then you know that they value the actionables. These 3 questions will get you the information that you need to be able to offer the correct offer, but then also to add this stuff into the way that you're presenting your offer later on. Okay? Once we have those questions, we have to do one of the most important things as the prescriptive method, which is address any red flags that come up. Oh man, I cannot tell you as a coach. Okay? If you are a doctor and you're sitting in an office and there's a client in front of you and they're saying a bunch of things, I'm not going to take my medication, I'm a highly addictive person, and they're saying stuff that's like, whoa, like if I put you on this medication, are you going to get addicted? Or like, what are you doing for your coping mechanisms? If you feel emotionally and mentally a red flag comes up, you must address it in that moment. A part of being a practitioner, and you are a practitioner as a coach, is making sure that when someone says something that is out of alignment with your coaching, you have to then question them on it to see whether or not it can be overcome or whether or not they are not ready. And this is so important. If someone says, I feel like my partner is always sabotaging me, it's not their partner's fault. They're allowing that to happen. So you got to address that as a real flag, as a red flag. If they say to themselves, oh, I'm not sure if I can make a decision today. You need to address that right in the moment, because that's a red flag. That shows someone who is non-committal, and they're being non-committal in your coaching. There are many red flags that come up, and maybe I'll do a coach-to-coach training talking about the objections that come up and stuff. But truthfully, like I said at the very beginning of this episode, if you are using content that creates attraction, and you're speaking to someone on an emotional level, if you are building value and trust correctly, and you are attracting the right person, there actually shouldn't be a lot of red flags addressed. But sometimes these flags will come up, and what you need to do is you need to unpack them immediately. Do not just blow past them so you can go and then promote your program. You have to address them. Because if we are there to truly help them, we need them to see a way through what is blocking them. So when we share the program, they're actually open, ready, and willing to take action on the program. I guarantee you, if you do not address any of the red flags that come up in these conversations, and if you are not building and creating a funnel or attracting the right clients with content, you will hit the bonus round of objection handling. And I call it the bonus round because in anything, any game in gambling, bingo, when you hit the bonus round, you always lose. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to come up with a win. And that's why it's in the bonus round, because no one wants you to win through that process. It's basically you just trying to practice objection handling at that point. So you do not want to get to the bonus round of this. So we address any red flags that come up. Now, once we address these red flags, it is our responsibility to then show them what is possible. So this is where we then ask a question and we say, what does success look like to you through this process? How do you want to look? How do you want to feel for you to finally be truly satisfied, truly happy with your results? Sure, you can change up the wording, make it shorter, but you understand the point of the question. We want them to dream big. I want them to dream so big. What their relationships will look like, what they'll be able to do with their family, how they'll be able to look, how they'll be able to feel, what they'll be able to experience in their life, the job promotion that they can get. I want them to think big, and if they are having a hard time thinking big, I then help them think big. I want to get them fired up, because then once they're fired up, now I'm going to be at a place where I can ask for permission to share our prescription. I'm going to say, man, these are amazing goals. I'm super pumped to be able to take you there. Do you mind if I share with you how we're going to get you that result? How we're going to get you that best relationship? How we're going to be able to take you to the end of this process? And what we need for them is to say yes. Because we need them to say yes to themselves. They've said yes to hop on the call. They've said yes to fill out the application. We need them to say yes to share, because in saying yes subconsciously, we are telling them, or we are having them say to themselves, hey, yes, I want to know how to do this so I can start this process. So we ask for the permission, okay? Now that we have the permission, this is where we share the prescription. We say, based on your goals and what you're looking to achieve, this is where you now have to use the goals and everything that they've shared, and you have to use their verbiage to show them how you're going to get them there. If they say, I want to get to a point where I'm feeling this with my kids and walking them down to the aisle, I'm going to use that same verbiage. Hey, if you want to get your kids to walk down the aisle, first thing that we're going to have to do is then you go and you implement your core principles of your program. You do not need to go into the how. You're going to get this meal plan. We're going to get 15 check-ins a week, and you're going to have access to 15 modules, and all 13 of these modules are training, nutrition, and guidance. And no, they don't need to know any of that. They need to know the bare bones of the structure. That there will be training through this process, which will make super simple and help integrate into their life so they can spend time with their family. There might be nutrition involved in this process, that we take care of you from grocery store to dinner table to make it so simple that you can even do it for your entire family. We want to integrate everything into what they're doing as well as into their goal. So that way they can see how the prescription, how the program is going to fit into their life. And this is the thing, especially that this advisor did not do for me. All he talked about was the funds. My goodness. The funds, the numbers, the strategy, mutual funds. I truthfully did not give a shit what fund my stuff was in. I wanted to know how I was going to feel at the end of this process and what I was going to be able to achieve. And he was not able to communicate that to me. We lose people when we start talking about the stuff and we stop talking about the feeling. So we need to share the feeling through the prescription. Once we share the prescription, this is where we then open up and we allow them to ask questions. Now, the way that we share that is like, so this is what's involved in the program. Was there anything that came up for you through that process? Notice how I didn't say, do you have any questions? What do you think about the program? That makes no sense. Because if someone doesn't have questions, you're going to make them doubt. You're going to make them say, oh, should I have questions? Yeah, maybe I have questions. Or, oh, what do I think about the program? I don't know. What do I think? So I ask the question, what comes up for you during that? And this is where they're going to say, it sounds great. I sound super excited. Or if they have questions, they might actually ask the questions. Hey, you know what? I have a question on this. Or how does this operate? And then you can elaborate. And that's perfect. And we want to make sure that they're comfortable and excited. And then say, hey, now that we've gone through everything that's in the program, this is where I'm going to say, based off of this, this is what the investment looks like. Mind if I share the investment for you? And they're going to go, yes, again, because again, the psychological form of saying yes to themselves. So this is where, as a doctor, it's not, oh, I'd really like you to think this. What do you think about this? How are you feeling about this? We're just going to say, based on what I think works best for you, it's this length of time. And in terms of the investment, you're looking at X. We do have payment options. Is it easier for you to do this for payment or this? Which option works best for you? Just like a doctor would say, hey, we're going to put you on this or this. Would you like to start the prescription today? Boom. And we're going to go and write out that requisition. And the reason why we do it that way is because we already know that they are ready to start the program. They're in front of us. It's just a matter of allowing them to hold the space to say, which option do you want? Do you want to pay it in full? You want payments? You want to start with the 16 weeks, you want to do the 12 weeks, or if you're someone who's incredibly confident with the program, I don't even give options. I'm like, based off of what you need, here's the length of time, and this is what it is. So let's get you started and enrolled in the program. I don't say, sounds good. Want to do this? Are you ready? Because again, this makes them question it. Imagine thinking, sitting in front of a doctor and the doctor's like, hey, we're going to write this prescription. You're like, oh, okay, cool. Not a problem. And then they're like, are you ready for it? Does this sound good? Are you all in? Does this sound exciting to you? You're going to think to yourself, what the hell kind of medication are you giving me? Because if you got to amp me up this much, I should be concerned. And this is where sometimes our verbiage betrays us. Our lack of confidence in our program as coaches, our lack and excitement of like, oh, I'm going to change this person's life. Maybe if you're coming off a little desperate or you're a little worried or you're trying to push a certain offer, this is where you lose the ability to be genuine. And of course, if you're losing the ability to be genuine, then congratulations, you're going to get into that bonus round. So if you use this prescriptive method, if you ask the right questions, if you address the red flags, and you gotta address the red flags, you ask for permission to share how you're going to go through this process after you pump them up. They say yes. You share with them. You integrate their goals into the process. You don't share the how because they don't need to know the how. You share the emotional connection and how you're going to get them there. Okay, or what it's going to take to get them there. And then at the end, you ask for permission to say, hey, can I make this recommendation? They say yes, and you tell them the price, and you say, let's do this. We're going to get started right now. I'm going to set you up. The answer is going to be yes. It's always going to be yes. And if it's no, there's only going to be two things that will come. It'll be fear, which means that you didn't connect the program to their goals strong enough, or it's going to be price, in which you just have the availability to offer different payment options. It really is that straightforward. It really is a prescriptive method. I'm not sweating buckets on discovery calls. I'm just there to help you guys as coaches. I'm there to help the people in our health company who are sitting in front of me make the best decision that is for them. And the final thing for the prescriptive method is this: do not be combative with this person. Remember, you are there to help them. You are on their same side. You are trying to be on their team. Asking questions like, well, I thought you wanted this, or like, I'm confused. Are you like turning back on what you said? They're going to put their walls up immediately, and they're going to feel like they're going to have to defend themselves from you. We do not argue with our doctors. Our doctors are there to help us. And so they're like, hey, I'm here to help you. How can we work through this together? Let's get you there. They're not there to grill you, combat you, or argue with you. So a large part of the prescriptive method is remembering that you are a part of their team. You are on their side. You're there to make the best recommendations that's going to achieve them the best result. And so when it comes to the prescription part, it's like, cool, let's get started. We're going to get started today. I'm going to set you up today. Your orientation is tomorrow. I'm freaking amped for you. I'm so pumped to work with you through this process. And it's that excitement that gets someone to say, you know what? I am ready. I am excited, and I am going to do this. So I will say this before I end this episode, okay? All of this prescriptive method relies heavily on creating content that attracts and converts the right client, and having a proper value stack funnel system in which the right people have already built in trust with you. If the people on these discovery calls do not have built trust, if the people on these discovery calls are not at the right position from a content perspective to ascend through content, if they're not actively looking through a coach, if they're too stuck in the struggle or they have a victim mindset, they will not be ready for coaching. And so your offer will be rejected. And so you will do all the right things in the consult, and you will still get objections at the end. If you get objections that I need to think about it, then you're not attracting the right person. If you get objections of I need to ask my partner, or I don't feel that I'm ready for a commitment like this, then you're not attracting the right person at the right level of the journey. And this is exactly one of the things that we built inside of my program called Fast Launch. This Fast Launch program is a 60-day program in which we help you build your value stack funnel system to build this value, as well as show you what it takes to be able to create client converting content. So when you promote and offer and you getting these people on the discovery calls, they're actually fired up and they're the right person who's going to take initiative on that program. Now, let's say you're like, hey, you know what? I've got a good funnel system. I've got people coming in, but for some reason, I'm still butchering these sales. We also have an awesome program called Coach2Coach. And Coach2Coach is an in-depth program in which we are addressing sales objections, practicing how to be able to present your offer in a good way, creating an irresistible offer, but also continuously optimizing your funnel and long-term nurture. So even if these people do not make it through the first consultation, that they have other options for them to stay in your world so they can come back next time and say yes the next time. And some of you are going to have a hard time realizing this, but like, there are people who, if you do the consult right, even if they're not ready in that moment, they will return to you a month later. They will return to you 3 months later, but only if you have the right nurture system. So if you're someone at this point who like has big group coaching programs, you're working with more than 30 people already, you've got that 10 to 15K reoccurring months, and you're like, this is something that I want to tweak to be scalable. All of the sales, all of the systems and processes that go into creating this effective routine, which I don't like calling it a machine because you're not pumping people out. It really is just a routine and process that helps people make decisions better. Then you might be a good fit to Coach2Coach. So the application for Coach2Coach, not everyone is a good fit for it. You can go and click the apply link that's actually on the Coach2Coach YouTube channel, or I'll drop the application link for the C2C intake form. And it's really about seeing where you're at your level of business to then help take you to that next level. That level might be bringing on multiple team members to actually start doing these calls for you instead of you doing them yourself all the time. That's how I was able to scale my health coaching company. That's how I was able to then build Coach2Coach as a company, because my health coaching company is in a systematic place where it's running itself and the leads are being pre-qualified, and I have a good nurture and value system there that is bringing and attracting like-minded people to us. So regardless of what it is, if you're in that place where you're just still at the content stage or the value funnel system stage, then join Fast Launch. We're about 3 days into it so far. Or you can join Coach2Coach if you're like, hey, you know what? I am beyond that funnel system, but I'm still having a hard time with sales, and we can help support you. Thanks so much for hopping on and watching the another episode of Coach2Coach. And remember to subscribe and like the channel. The subscriptions help give you the notification so that way you can see when new episodes are coming out. And please share this with another coach if you think that it is valuable, because as coaches, we can all help other coaches grow. Why the hell not? Thanks for hopping on and listening. Take care, coaches, Coach Kings, Coach Queens. Catch you later. See ya.